New York City, under Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan. All those days of a one-family, two-family houses under the city of yes would be gone. Under upzoning, those one- and two-family houses in the outer boroughs, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island would be gone. But more so than any of those Eric Adams wrecking ball plans for one- and two-family houses, the city of yes, upzoning, is the invasion of squatters. That's right, people who come in to your house while you're away, or maybe the house is in transition, it's in probate court because your parents have passed away and now the house is passing on to you. No problems in probate court. And there's a guy, an influencer out there, who appears to be an illegal alien, who's encouraging all these migrants, illegal aliens here in the country, that there is a squat out there waiting for you, that this country provides you the squatter's delight. Who is this Gavon?
So this is Venezuelan national Leonel Moreno. Lives in Columbus, Ohio, has 500,000 followers on TikTok, which is pretty huge.
Is he legal?
Well, I mean, Venezuelan national.
No, he's not. But
Okay.
he's an untouchable because as a Venezuelan, you can't touch him.
I mean, and the story does describe him as a migrant TikToker. It also says that what he's doing is he posts this entire message where he's telling his comrades tips on how to invade unoccupied homes and invoke squatters' rights in the United States. So it's basically a little walkthrough tutorial telling people if a house isn't inhabited, we can seize it. And encouraging people to do that, telling them also that he has 7 African friends who've already done the same thing. So now they're living in houses and you too can do the same.
And they've taken advantage, especially of the sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, the more liberal, progressive cities and states like New York City, where if you can claim that you've been in a house for 30 days or more, the landlord is the person who might be arrested if they come to the house, open the door, and they see you there and say, "What the hell are you doing there?" Like this woman in Flushing, Queens.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed
That's
is
what was
current
told
and
to her.
legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction.
Now, this did not involve illegals or migrants, as far as we know. But this woman, again, had received this house upon the death of her parents. So she came to the house. She was preparing to move in. And surprise, surprise, it was already occupied and carved up by a number of squatters.
Yeah, so it was her parents who had owned the home, and they did transfer it to her, so she legally did own it. She was preparing it for sale, so she's going into the house like the month before she's getting ready to, clean it up, spruce it up for sale, and realizes there's people there. And actually, her locks have been changed. So the first issue is she can't get in. So then she starts to, battle what's going on in the very weak ways that you can in New York City, because you're required to alert someone. At this point, because theoretically this person said they're in there for 30 days, they already do have these squatters' rights. Now, this is what's interesting. In New York State, throughout the state, someone would have to be living adversely for 10 years before they can make that claim, as opposed to New York City, 30 days.
Now, let me get this straight. So if this were in Buffalo or Rochester or Onondaga County, you'd have to be on the property for 10 years to make that claim.
And it makes sense, because the idea behind these sort of that's more like adverse possession in a sense, but the squatters' rights, I mean, think about the concept, right? It's supposed to be instituted so that people who are lawful tenants living there for some reason can't be taken advantage of by an unscrupulous landlord. So it really is a protection for a legit tenant, not this workaround for someone to steal a house. And yet that's what it's being used as.
Well, the first time I ever saw that illegally, people squatting in flats, was in London when I started the Guardian Angels. Those were anarchists. Likewise, in the Lower East Side in the age of crack, they were anarchists. and they eventually got booted out. But these guys that were on this Channel 7 Eyewitness News special, they didn't look like political anarchists. They didn't look like migrants. They looked like Americans scanning the system.
And actually what's really interesting about this, too, is so there's this one guy who seems to be the individual who, started this whole entire process. And now he has people that he's subleasing to who believe him to be the lawful owner. So there's, witnesses who've now come forward since this case has, been publicized. And the tenants who are living there are getting nervous. Like, they had no idea this was going on. They're showing their receipts for having paid the money, paid their deposit, whatever, existing lease they have. But the only problem is it's all going through this illegitimate guy who's saying that, well, yeah, someone gave me the property and we can figure it out in court and she knows the law. So if she wants to pay me to get out sooner, I'll do that too. I mean, he's basically holding the property hostage.
And if you think this is an exception to the rule, there are thousands of similar cases that are taking place throughout the city because they claim that it's a civil court situation, not criminal court. So the cops will not arrest the squatters. They arrest the landlord if the landlord tries to gain entry into their own property.
Yeah, so when she did finally gain access, because again, as this story is going on, they have the film crews in front of it. Someone who was illegally subletting there tried to go into the residence. They realize the camera crews are there. They just walk away. So now she has entry into her residence. She right away calls her locksmith to come over and change the locks. And within half an hour, the other guy comes back and says, "I was just locked out of my residence," and she gets arrested. So
wait. So our police department is being used as a tool of the squatters, no doubt by our city councils that's filled with socialists. They love this kind of stuff. So our police department is arresting law-abiding landlords whose property has been invaded. There's no other way. It's a home invasion, except they didn't steal anything. They just took over the house lock, stock, and barrel.
I mean, and she has what would be considered all the legitimate paperwork for it in terms of the deeds. And what he has is clearly something you could have just scribbled, on paper 2 seconds ago. So to even look at those two things and say, I don't want to get involved in it, you got to take it to court, when someone just stole your house. Like, I have no idea how this... I would like to see someone do this, okay, in one of these empty commercial premises going on here and, test the limits of whether you can squat in there, because that's a place that, rather than taking people's homes, take some of these empty commercial spaces.
Yeah, I'll bet you it's 30 days and they'll declare that they own that spot. Now, question.
Open up a store.
She's been told you have to go to civil court. Mm-hmm. The next opening is 22 months away.
22 months.
22 months.
But he's willing to make it easier on her if she just pays him, what he put into the place. Because apparently he's been renovating, which is another one of these things these squatters know all about, that if you show some form of ownership, like you're decorating the place, putting up new curtains, you
put up a little wallpaper, right? A little wallpaper.
Now it's your place.
Right, now it's your place. So if she pays him to leave in cash, he'll be more than happy to leave her place and squat in another person's house.
And what's crazy is when they're doing the story in her home, when she finally gains reentry, all these people who are living there are living on her furniture. So it's a furnished apartment too.
Now, we gotta warn many listeners. Naturally, most importantly, New York City, that has this ridiculous rule that if you claim you've occupied an apartment or a house for 30 days, you have squatters' rights, and the landlord has bupkis, has hugats. Obviously, it's different outside of the city of New York. But if they happen to have property in the city of New York, what do you advise them to do? Because with all these migrants coming in, illegal aliens, now the Haitians will be coming. That influencer is teaching them how to do a home invasion, not to rob anything, just to stay there and declare it to be yours. What are things that they can do?
Well, so the idea is you want to make your property, if it's for some reason sitting vacant, you have to make it look as lived in as possible. So making sure that the building's secure, but beyond that, having maybe some form of a lighting so that it's a timed lighting, it goes off. Surveillance cameras, that's really the big one, because the minute you would notice that maybe someone was in your premise, that first moment you'd have to go to the police and say, someone is trespassing on my property, before someone can get a foothold in your property and make this claim. Yeah. Oh, and FYI, that influencer too, He's done other videos showing people bragging about how he earned money begging on the streets while he's collecting government handouts. So this is the type of information that's getting to everyone who's coming to America.
So listen to this. By the way, the woman who owns that house has fled the state.
After this happened, the day after that, she decided that she's leaving right now because it's crazy and she doesn't want to deal with it. And obviously, what she's realizing is she has a long legal suit ahead of her.
Yeah, she's leaving the state like everyone else in Eric Adams' land and Kathy Crime Wave Holcomb's land. They're leaving and they ain't coming back. And the most important thing to understand is this Venezuelan influencer in Columbus, Ohio, is staying there and we're paying his bills. And then he's on TikTok and he's telling other illegals, do a home invasion, take over the property. He's telling them how to scam the government system, the government assistance. And we allow this. We allow this. In Biden country, right? In Biden country, illegal aliens, migrants have all the rights. All we're told, legal citizens, first generation legal citizens who have the toughest route to cross in order to get into our country. Just pay your taxes, shut the hell up, and we're going to take care of the migrants from the cradle to the grave.